And now, on with the show.
All right, so welcome back, and as previously discussed, it is a Captain Kirk victory. That's it, number 3 or number 4?
4.
4. Oh, like I can't.
You're
can't
at
see,
1.
I
2?
can't see. I'm at 2. I can't see you guys from all the way up there, but Jason's at like 86,
I'm at 6.
and
Yeah.
at least we're all even.
And we did a reset at 111, so that's why at episode 126.
Yes, yeah. I guess that's So, but before we can talk about the movie, we always like to kick it off with a 30-second synopsis. So, Jason does have the time up, and Kirk, the next words out of your mouth are the synopsis.
Oh, you're waiting on me. Okay, so there was a mission to Halley's Comet where I'm stuttering already. Where there was a spaceship in the back of the Halley's Comet. In the spaceship, there were some bats and also a very naked lady. They bring the naked lady back onto the ship. The ship then goes dark. Then another ship finds the naked lady, brings her down. She then goes on a quest to kill people, get people dead. They try to find her. They make it all the way up to London. They come back to London, and there's a zombie apocalypse. Everybody's dying, but all the souls of the zombies are going up into a spaceship and fueling the other ship.
Time.
Done.
I mean, I want you to breathe for 5 seconds. I was worried we were going to lose Kirk there for a minute.
Dude, yeah, for those that don't see, Kirk's face is like red.
You got veins
Very, very
popping
red.
out.
Was your
Yes.
father the Micro Machines guy from the commercials back in the day?
That was the only way I was getting through that. There was a lot of material, but it was very segmented.
I like that you spent the first 3 seconds going,
I
And then it was like a race car.
almost thought about starting.
It was like,
I was going to start it off going dun 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 dun, but that's not words, so it wouldn't have counted.
I should have done that for you as the lead.
Yes.
I apologize. I've let you down.
Now I need to take
That was
some
good,
breaths.
though.
Yeah,
I'll give you credit. That was good.
Well,
I think it was a little hazy in the middle, but
I think the whole thing was hazy.
I think you
I think the whole
rebounded.
thing was hazy, but that's kind of the movie. Is the whole movie is hazy.
kind of the point.
But it does now take us to
Behind the scream.
All right, so Lifeforce in 1985. So this movie was released June 21st, 1985. This is based on a book by Colin Wilson named The Space Vampire. It's pretty fitting. So this is director Toby Hooper, and it was distributed by Canon Films. So the budget of this movie was a whopping 1985 $25 million.
Wow.
And in the box office, it made $11.6 million. So a massive flop. So this movie, there are some amazing documentaries on YouTube about the troubled production. So that $25 million that I just said on the budget, you do not see a fraction of that on the screen because of the reshoots, the remaking of the soundtrack, depending on the region it was playing, and also the focus and the production. It was all over the place. And they basically screwed Toby Hooper. So if you got time, I could talk for days. Our fun facts aren't going to cover half of it. There is documentaries that chronicle the production hell that this movie went through. So I need to breathe a little bit longer. So I'm going to give fun fact number 1 to Jason, and then we'll go from there because I'm still a little out of breath.
Yeah, so I'll start with this one. So Matilda May, who played our naked space girl throughout this movie. So Toby Hooper really wanted her when she was naked to be fully naked, like pubed, shaved, everything. And I guess when they did that,
She wasn't shaved.
Will you let me finish?
Just go ahead. Sorry.
It's part of the fact. So they shaved her, and it looked really bad. They wanted her to look she looked more like a toy the way they were doing it. So what they did was they took hairs, like cut them up from wigs, and they had to make a creation and pasted it back on her basically for the
She
movie.
had a fake bush.
Yeah, she had a fake
Wow.
bush. So that's why you let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. All right. So my fun fact has to do with Matilda as well. So the part of the female vampire was near impossible for them to cast in this movie. They actually went and got Matilda from Germany, and she was a ballerina, so she only had like one acting credit under her name. And they wanted somebody that looked unique and was able to come with a almost non-bouncing walk to them, so they had a presence when they walked and when they were in their room. And when he wanted her naked, but obviously everybody, all men saw her naked, but she controlled the room every scene she was in, even when she was naked. And that was near impossible to find. And even Matilda has come back and said she wished she would never do it again. Like she was just naked through the entirety of the movie.
Yeah. So Halley's Comet. So it was chosen. Well, let me start here. So in the book, The Space Vampires, Halley's Comet was not where the space ship was found. It was actually like some kind of asteroid thing or something. So Toby Hooper actually wanted to chose Halley's Comet because it actually 1 year from the time that they made this movie was passing Earth, and he wanted to kind of put that fear out there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my fun fact number 2. So there are actually 2 cuts of this movie. So the original movie that's on Tubi right now that I just got to watch was 128 minutes long. That is the original British cut. So the distributor in America was TriStar Pictures. So they cut nearly 30 minutes out of this movie to make it to closer to a 90-minute movie, because in the 80s, horror movies didn't go past 90 minutes. They wanted to get as much as they possibly could into films. So there are two major cuts out there. Luckily, the Tubi one I watched was the full 128 British one.
You're saying
128 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, 128 minutes. They cut 30 minutes out of it for the American. And they also changed our NFL Films music, was cut out of it almost entirely. It was still in there in the intro and the exit, but not throughout the movie. In the American cut and the British cut, they used it quite a bit more.
All right, so my final one here. We'll go back to our famous big boob leading lady here, Matilda May. She had to learn her lines phonetically. She didn't speak any English, but over the 6 months of making this movie, she actually learned how to speak English throughout.
Yeah, and they still ADR'd her. They did voiceover her voice. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
So my last one here. So the complexity of the production of this movie and the fighting distribution companies, the lack of control that Canon put on anything, the effort to make this into a Hammer-ish type film. If you've ever seen any of the Hammer horror movies, basically the production hell of this movie basically destroyed Toby Hooper's career, and he never made a big time movie again. He worked on some smaller things, but this size of production, never worked on this size of production again. He was done.
Well, you know why else he was pretty much done after this movie too, right? A lot of the reason why it took them forever to do this movie, and a lot of the reason the budget went to the way it did, is because he was high on just alcohol.
He's high on alcohol?
He's high on alcohol.
He was high, and he was always high. And
Gotcha.
He was doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So a lot of that was driven by the companies. They just drove him wild. And the $25 million, and I love this movie, but you do not see $25 million on the screen.
Right. So let's get in and let's talk through our categories here. So as we always start, concept and flow of the movie. What do we think?
Yeah, so concept alone, I love the concept, the space vampire, the bringing it back to lore, and this is what's visiting the planet every 70, 60, whatever many years that Halley's Comet came back. Just kind of tying in something that actually happens into historical events that gave us this legend. I thought it was really cool. And then you've got the Lifeforce being passed from person to person, and then if you get yours stolen, you're hungry for another one. Then it slowly deteriorates to almost a zombie type feel to the people. I thought that was all really cool. I thought it was well done. I think the concept was on point.
Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with the concept. I think the concept was the strength in this category. Mm-hmm. but like a low strength. I personally think the flow is very slow and boring. It took a long time for a lot of things to really happen. It picked up as it went. It's been like a good 25 years since I've seen this movie. So like what I liked about it then, like obviously a lot of it's changed now, but the concept was definitely the strength here. It was just like what you normally say. It was on like the level.
Yeah, so the unhappy, the sad.
It's a happy. So Jay, I couldn't agree more. I thought this was very like it just drags throughout. This was a pauser for me. I had to step away a couple times just because nothing. I won't say nothing was happening to me. There's many problems with the story. First off, it's bipolar and it doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a supernatural movie? Is it a zombie movie? Is it a vampire movie? Is it a mystery? Like it doesn't even know. But also, I think it's told from the wrong perspective. And let me explain. So they show you like the characters they show you are like internal when all the shit is happening outside. And instead of showing me what's happening outside and then coming back to what they're doing about it, they just show me what they're doing about something that I don't even know what's really going on outside. I'm watching them kind of figure it out, but they're doing it in kind of like a cheesy way. And I just lost me with that.
Yeah.
You really lose everything that's going on outside. Like you don't see like what's going on to the people of London. I mean,
and she's outside. Like follow her.
Yeah.
At least give me snippets of her outside moving along versus just a bunch of dudes in a building. Like
So this was done purposefully. So this movie was trying to be a Hammer movie. Hammer is a British horror movie. If you've ever watched any of the Hammer Dracula movies with Christopher Lee, mind you, they are they try to make them a small picture of a large event happening, and it's also a lot of dialogue and a lot of slow developing type things. So it is a very Hammer style. I 100% agree with you. The concept is the strength here. The flow, I would say this is 3 movies that are trying to be squeezed into one. So yeah, you definitely see that, definitely feel that. I definitely hit this movie for that. But it was trying, like I said, I'm trying to be this Hammer.
I have a couple problems. Like one is that at the beginning, it's a U.S. ship, right? It's a U.S. NASA ship in the air. Why does this all happen in London? Like they save the U.S. guy. Like it's NASA. Why wouldn't NASA be like sending up a London ship to bring him back to London? It makes no sense.
Because it's a British company that made the movie,
right? But it makes no sense. And then the other part I have is they turn this Carlson guy into like this all-knowing being because he kissed the girl one time.
Yeah,
but. If he inherited just a little bit of her and he can see everything, shouldn't they be able to see everything that he's doing to like counteract? Like, shouldn't they have been ahead of everything because they would be able to see everything? They acted like they were idiots, but since he kissed her one time, he had full vision. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that part was kind of explained by one line, right? She's a destroyer of worlds. She's done this many times before. This has happened over the millennial. So she was always one step ahead of him, and his stuff was kind of buried. Like they had to bring it out of him. But I agree. It's the storytelling the flow wasn't there. It struggled.
So we've hit our time on this. So Kirk, your movie, you get to go first. What do you rank it?
So I broke this part into 2 different sections. So concept got a 101 and flow got a 0.5. So I gave it a 1.5.
All right, Jay?
I gave it a 0.5.
Good dialogue. Thank you.
Man of many words.
No, I had nothing else to say.
So I'm with one of you, and it's not you, Kirk. It's Jason. It's a 0.5. Like I said, there's no flow to this. And the concept, I only give it a half a point. Basically, I mean, like that's where I am on it. Just there's just so many things that just don't make sense to me. So it made it tough. So that's where I was. So that takes us to category numero dos, the effects / visuals. Jay, what are you thinking here?
So this one's tough for me as well. I wanted to like the effects and the visuals in this movie. I think there were some decent practical effects here and there. But, I mean, let's face it, every freaking thing that they showed was like, it seemed like it was like a cartoon drawing in the background. Like, everything was just, it was like a cell animation in a way, like throughout the whole movie. And it didn't do it for me. Like, you know, we're 1985. Kirk alluded to this earlier, huge ass budget. They could have done so much more with this. I mean, hell, 1982, they did like 40 times more with The Thing. So, like, I just think they took so much away from this movie of what it could have been with the effects, and it was just really.
So, I want to chime in here. I feel like there'd be something great and then something bad, something great, something bad. But you know what? Like, it's 1985. I kind of expect that. I will say, obviously, like the lightning and the sky and like it looks terrible, but I think the transformation of like some of like the characters when they get the life sucked out of them, they look creepy and cool. And I think the zombies at the end look, I put above average. Like it's not like anything I'm gonna write home about, but I think they look good. The only thing that made me really, really laugh is when they're in space at the beginning. I swear they went into a vagina. You cannot tell me that they did not go into a fucking vagina.
So if you watch some of these
I thought so too.
these YouTube documentaries, that was all on purpose. Like, it was supposed to look like a phallus. It was supposed to look like a vagina. It was supposed.
Succeed.
Succeed. Check.
Because I thought they were going to come back at the end, honestly, and say you went into like
come out the butthole,
the mother vampire or something like that. Yeah, they get shit out at the end.
They get shit out. So I also love the miniature work. So I thought there was a lot of really good miniatures in this movie, and it blended in very nicely.
The spaceship,
the spaceships. A lot of London was miniatures, and even the helicopter coming in a lot of times was a miniature. There was some bad work, the CGI with that blood effect of it after it came out of Patrick Stewart's face, but when coming out of his face was actually creepy. Coagulating into whatever that was that turned into her looked like shit.
His face looked really like the faces looked.
It looked
really
bad, but it was creepy.
It was like
on both.
It was a good bad. It was a good bad. So this movie was very, very hit or miss when it comes to the visual effects, for sure.
Anything else you guys want to talk visual effects on this?
It's not a very visual effects heavy movie, even though they used a lot. So that's probably another thing where the budget went. They used visual effects to show normal things on a lot of stuff. It was kind of a weird pathway.
So Jay, you get to kick us off here and rate the effects.
Yeah, so I wasn't a big fan on this one, so this was another .5 for me.
Hey Jason, you know this is in the 1980s, right? Like you're supposed to be on my side on this one. 1985. I shouldn't have to say anything else.
It's right in the heart of the.
We're only two ratings in.
Okay. Don't worry. He's coming back with a vengeance.
He's coming back.
So for FX visuals, I gave it a 1. I think it's midway. Like I said, for everything good, there was something that was equally bad, so it just put it right in the middle, average for me, but it does enough to get a 1. That's where I am. Kirk, where do you finish?
100% agree with you, Mike. I'm at a 1 as well. For every hit, there was a miss. You could definitely see the $25 million wasn't used appropriately, and we're talking about $25 million. Like, we saw some $3.7 million movies that did a lot more in this early mid 80s type thing. So I 100% agree with you. There were things to like though, but there were some definite things that you're just like, ooh.
I mean, that $25 million budget makes me want to rate it lower, knowing that they had that. But as you described, we don't see that. So like it went other places. So I can't fault anybody.
They rescored this movie several times and did it with different releases across the planet.
Well, that London sympathy cannot have been cheap. Okay. So
no,
I was
they were good
was
too.
All right, so that takes us to category numero 3, or numero trace, I guess, which would be the character development / performance. And I got to tell you, I mean, just one sentence here. I don't care for anybody in this movie. Do you guys? Is there anybody you're rooting for in this movie?
No.
Like, for me, it wasn't.
No.
I was rooting for the girl that was naked most of the time, but
I was just ruined that she'd be in more scenes so I could see her.
Like,
naked
but I
more.
mean,
that was about.
But I
it.
mean, well, she was like the bad guy,
Not
and I
gonna
was
lie.
rooting for the bad guy in this movie to win. But I don't
felt
really
like-
care for anybody.
What was the actor's name that played Kane? I feel like he threw every
Peter Firth.
He threw
I
everything.
thought it was
he-
Garfunkel. I thought it was Art
Gar-
Garfunkel. That's what he looked like.
Yeah, he did. Look, yeah.
That dude threw everything he had at the screen.
He did.
Period. Like he threw, and then the doctor that was a studier of death or whatever it was, Falada threw everything he had at that screen. I feel like the ballerina girl, I thought she was great, not being an actress and not really saying anything.
She just walked.
And she controlled the room every time she was on the screen.
But you're talking performance, right? Like and
Is it character development / performance?
No. I agree. But my question to you was, do you care about the character, not the performance? I agree. The performances of some of these characters were great. They were really good.
That redheaded girl I kind of cared about. She's kind of a freak.
Patrick Stewart was good. I mean, like there were good like performances, but do you care about the
No.
do you care about any character?
Kane would be the only guy you care about, right? He would be the only guy that they're aiming to get you to care about.
I think they're
And so
trying to get you to
basically
care about
double that.
Carlson. Who I think
know
they're
what?
trying to get you to care.
Oh, I meant Carlson.
But you know what?
Carlson. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, but you know
Kane
what's
and
funny
Carlson.
though is I have my name as Kane on our screen here today just because he was my favorite character in this one, only because I had to pick
great.
one. I'll tell you right now, Steve Railsback, who played Carlson, like he was a big time actor. I think this movie was like a cash cow for him. That's cash grab. I mean, it was awful. Like I did not root for anybody in this movie. Like Mike said, I think the acting in this was terrible.
The acting of this
Performance-wise,
movie was not terrible.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think the acting was good.
The acting was spot on.
I think the acting, like, I won't say much about the ballerina girl. Like, she doesn't do that great, but she's not bad. I agree with you. She controls the room when she's in it. But I think Kane and Carlson and
good.
that doctor were good. I thought Patrick Stewart was good. Everybody else was just fodder in the background. But I thought the performances were good. I just don't care about any of them.
Right.
I cared quite a bit. I feel like they developed I forget the guy's name now. The main character, the guy who had the connection, Carlson. They developed him well. They developed that relationship well. I feel like there was development there. Now, do you care about him or not? Maybe that's up to the other.
I don't think
they did.
thought
They
the acting
took
was
it
terrible.
from him being confused and obsessed to then finally understanding and going back into the ship with her. And he was trying to sacrifice. Like it had an arc. It had everything. So.
Well, their naughties were touching. He just didn't want it to let go
yeah,
at that
yeah.
point in time. He's like,
He
I
stuck
need
her
to
in-
let me.
he
He
penetrated
stuck her
her.
twice.
Did you say their naughties
Their
were
naughties
touching?
were touching. I don't know how else to
They were
say it.
they were naughty.
So we know how Mike explained the birds and the bees to his kids.
You got your no-nos and they got their no-nos. And
no-nos and naughties.
And they touch.
all right. So for ranking this, I'll go first here. I thought the performances were good. I thought, like I said, I agree with you. I think some of those characters were they're really good. It's just the character development was non-existent to me. A little bit of Carlson, yeah, but I mean, there's 7 main people in this movie, and I mean, I couldn't even tell you where Patrick Stewart even fucking comes from. Like, but he's good at what he does, and yeah, I understand. But so I'm a 1. I'm right in the middle once again. I take a full point away for development. I give it a full point for performance. Kirk, where are you?
I love the development. I love the performances. I think a lot of the performances are unspoken. I think the 2 male vampires, even the 30 seconds they were on screen, they controlled the room just the same. So I gave it a full 2 out of 2. I thought they were great.
Apparently that vampire like thing that they used on the people in the movie works on some of the people watching the movie as
Probably.
well, I guess. Jason, tell us why you gave it a .5.
I because I'm speechless now because I have nothing to say. Yeah, it's a fucking .5
I knew
for
you were
sure. I
gonna-
mean,
This guy's not stuck
Be-
in the 80s. He doesn't like 80s movies. That's all.
Well,
You
they-
lost your
I-
80s card. Give me your blockbuster card as we speak right now.
That was an 80s.
it's not my fault that you put really shitty movies on the wheel.
Lifeforce? Lifeforce is like an all-time classic.
Listen, he's only 3 categories through so far.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
I'm really curious to see what you guys think that I scored this. I will say I am above Jason right now in scoring. So
Yeah, Jason's he wants my support on the 80s. He's about to lose it.
well, this is, I mean, once again, we're unbiased, even though you guys have a bias to the 80s. But all right, so that takes us to our next category, which is like the
Everybody's
atmosphere. It's the atmosphere of the movie. What are we thinking?
So I'll go here because this was actually my favorite category. So
.75.
No, you know what? I think the atmosphere. I think there was some good stuff to this. I really got a true like a Lovecraftian feel to this movie. I think it really takes a lot of those elements and plays with it. And Kirk, I saw you shaking your head like you kind of agree with me there. Which and it's like for atmosphere for me, I think that like being a classic British horror movie with that Lovecraftian feel was just huge. I love that.
Couldn't agree more. The first thing I wrote down here is that Lovecraftian out of this worldly vibe. And that's how the movie started. They're going up to a comet. There was a spaceship the size of a big penis, that looked like a vagina, all that stuff. But the knock I would take on this atmosphere is there were big cosmic shifts in the atmosphere. So they were going for this Lovecraftian vibe. Then it turned into this detective manhunt. And then it turned into this end of the world zombie apocalypse. So there were some shifts, which I think hurt the movie because they weren't, it was so drastic when they did them. I think they could have worked if they would have designed up the movie a little bit better. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how you fix that, but overall the atmosphere was great. It just had some tonal shifts.
I'm the opposite. Now some of it was kind of a pauser to me, and I took my own self out of the atmosphere because I was just bored at times. But the sets look like sets to me. Like it looks like I don't feel like I'm there. I don't feel like I'm in space. I don't feel like in the building, I felt, like a little bit of the claustrophobic in the building for a little bit, but then they do something weird to take you out of that, like with some of their scenes. I also say like music is a very big atmospheric thing for me. And the London Orchestra took me out of that. Honestly, a lot of times it turned it into this almost like Indiana Jones style.
I was going to say Star Wars-ish.
Yeah, Star Wars.
John Williams.
I felt the poltergeist in this movie from like Toby Hooper. I really did a lot of times, but it was like the atmosphere just took me out so many times. I never got fully ingrained in there. And once again, I think if they would have done, like I said at the beginning, of show me what's happening versus just keeping me in this like little box and then randomly doing other things, like I think it would have changed for me. But yeah, atmosphere just didn't hit for me like I guess it did for you guys on this.
You ready to rate it?
Sure. This is Kirk.
So I loved the atmospheres that were there. All three of them worked for me. The problem was the massive shifts between them. So I did deduct a half point for that. So I'm at a 1.5.
All right. So Jason. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with Kirk on this one. I gave it a 1.5. Like I said, this is my favorite of the category. I really love the Lovecraftian feel to it. I love Lovecraftian movies. So that really hit the nail in the coffin for myself.
Nail in the coffin. Lovecraftian is the new Hitchcockian that we used to do on the show all the time.
I want to start saying Hitchcockian.
You just want to say Cockian.
Clearly,
this was a .5 for me. I'm so far off from you guys on the atmosphere of this movie. So that's
Mike didn't see the Lovecraftian.
I did not see the Lovecraftian part of this.
Or the Hitchcockian.
Or the Hitchcockian. I just
this
saw
is kind of a detective movie in the middle.
Saw the Bordium. This was like 10 pounds of crap in a 3-pound bag. Like you said, like it was all over the place. It's supernatural zombie. It's all. But our last category here, kills/gore. Not a lot of deaths for week number 2 in a row here. Like there wasn't a lot of kills going on here.
There was a ton of
I do
like all of
not.
London
Everybody died.
The
No.
entire city
You
of
don't
London
even
is
see
dead.
Just because you see a
Everybody.
blue spark in the sky,
That's
and then
their
everybody's
soul.
a fucking zombie on the ground.
Their life force is taken out.
my God.
Yeah,
There was-
you see a lot of people like laying dead at the
There
end.
was an all right.
I want you to look up number
Everybody-
of deaths in this movie and see if it says 5,000 or does it say 6.
or go look up the population of London. That's how many people died.
I don't believe so.
And some random doctor upstate that they kind of
That they
swung into.
shoot in the stomach and
So there was a all right, despite what Mike says, there is a ton of death in this movie. Now, to Mike's point, is there a ton of death on screen? Not a ton. There were some people that were turned into zombies, then they fell into dust. There were some kind of off the scene body parts and gore and a doctor or that the State Department guy who broke his neck. So there was a good bit of death. I would say there was probably that 10 to 12 mark on screen deaths. Now, actual deaths in this movie, it was probably about 7 or 8 million people because we fueled a ship
that is
with
the
their
dumbest.
souls.
That is the dumbest take I've ever heard. That we had 7 million deaths in this movie. That's like World War Z. It's the most violent movie in the history of mankind.
But there's a lot of deaths in that movie. You could at least say in World War Z, there's a lot of deaths.
no, it's not a lot of
and
deaths.
you see a hell of a lot more in that movie. All right, so here's my take on this. So
And dumbest
yes,
take? Hold
there
on.
are-
Dumbest takes? We've been through a lot of dumb takes
we have.
in this.
And I'm sorry. That is top 3. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, like, I agree with Mike here because first of all, everyone that does die basically comes back as a zombie. So, and you don't even see that. Really
And then they
taking place.
die because their soul goes into a spaceship. They're dead.
How do you know they're
gone.
dead? Do you know they're dead?
They all
spaceship-
are.
The
All right,
spaceship
you guys
went
weren't
away.
watching this. You guys weren't watching this movie. So the last male vampire, when he senses that Carlson is going into the church, a blue light sweeps over the city, and you see all the blue lights go to his blue. That's all there's, and you see all the zombies falling over. That was
I
them
know.
dying and their souls
Yes,
going into a
but-
spaceship.
But you don't see.
And I'm reenacting
like-
this whole thing. If you guys can, if
But-
we had video, my arms are up and I'm drunk, and Jason's getting annoyed at me because I keep cutting him off. And go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
I'm used to it.
I was doing that on purpose.
That's all good. It's all good. I know you're trying to win this battle here, but you're not going
I've
to
already
win
won it.
because at the end of the day, like Mike said, the whole time, this movie was in a box. They were inside a building the whole time. They were not outside of this building showing what they should
They
have
weren't
shown.
in space
So-
or in the countryside or.
Right.
So
And the
do
gore,
you
there's no
Kirk,
gore
do you,
either. There
do you
really wasn't any
consider at the beginning when all those people died on the ship, were those all deaths?
No, they weren't on-screen deaths. No.
Okay, well
But
then
they-
none of
but
those
they were
zombies
deaths.
count. Then none of those zombies
So
count.
none of the zombies
then none
count
of the
either.
zombies
Deaths.
count either.
Well, they count.
No, you just said. I said, do you consider those deaths?
Yes.
And you said
Okay,
no.
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't take your
Yes.
swashbuckling on both sides, and I did think
all right.
I did think the sucking the life out of the bodies looked cool. Like it was a cool death. And when they go into sand the first couple times or explode, like it's a cool thing. There just wasn't anything violent or scary or anything about it.
Nah.
That
Not a
worked for
thing.
me.
Yeah, nothing. There's nothing that made me go ooh. You know,
There were a couple things that made me go ooh, but we
The
won't
couple
get
that
into
went.
Yeah, but that
that's-
doesn't come in
it.
this
Doesn't
category.
get much better
I mean-
than what made us go ooh.
She was killing it. I'll give you that, but in a completely different way.
That's worth like a 5.5 on its own.
She's not in this category. So let's,
All right, so
yeah,
what?
she's not in blood or gore.
So Jason, what do you give kills / gore?
A .5. I mean, it just did not do
I need to find a
anything.
new
It just was
podcast.
it
These guys are
was
crazy.
boring.
I'm .5 as well because Kirk, you are you're seeing this through nostalgia glasses, and I cannot help you.
Dude, your 3D glasses are broken.
I wouldn't say nostalgia. I would say fanboy. Like
Okay,
I'm just
yeah, same thing. It's a potato,
similar. Yeah, so
potato.
yeah, I gave it a 1.5. There wasn't that much violent death, so I deducted half point. So
Kirk gave it a 1.5 for the amount of deaths that we saw in the movie.
I had to give it a 1.5 to pick up your guys'
1.5.
silly scores. 0.5?
No,
the
like one death and a half of another.
The entire city of London is dead.
All right.
They're about to nuke it. They're getting ready to nuke London.
Oh,
they
man.
didn't nuke it. They should have showed
I
that.
guess Armageddon would have been like the deadliest movie in history.
How many people died in Armageddon? Like 8?
By the way,
12?
that is the saddest movie death. I meant to say that when Bruce Willis dies in Armageddon.
Willis?
Oh my
That was
God,
not a horror
Daddy,
movie.
no! She puts her hand on the screen. Anyway, all right. So bonus point time,
Yeah.
or
Fuck
bonus
it,
subtraction
Might as well
time.
just go to me because I
Kirk,
need to take off.
why
my
are you
microphone.
Why are you giving 75 when you can only give one bonus point? What
So
is
I'm
it
giving
for?
this one 3 extra bonus points to cover your asses. But I love the score. I think this is a massive artistic swing that was probably a little ahead of schedule in 1985. I mean, to be fair, this was way out of its league. Similar to, and I wrote down this, similar to what Dune did the year prior. They did not have the ability to make this movie to its fullest potential.
So you
I
gave this
know
a
that.
full bonus point.
Full fucking. I
Okay.
almost gave. I said 3.
I know, but
to make up your. Yeah.
I'm only
Yes,
I'm
a full bonus point.
I follow the laws. I'm sorry. Jason, are you adding, subtracting, or staying
He's
neutral?
subtracting because he's like, look at him.
I am actually adding a full bonus point.
Okay, now
I'm giving
I
it-
have to add 2.
I'm giving it to Matilda May and her boobs. I mean, that's the only thing I can find in this movie that was worth giving a rating for. Like, it honestly, like, I mean, and I wanted to, like I said, I haven't seen this movie in 25 years. I remembered it from the past and I liked it, and now with what I do now, I don't like it.
So
What do you do now?
But I did like those.
So I've gone back and forth on this bonus or subtraction point, and this is what I've decided. I'm giving it a half a point for Matilda's boobs, and then I'm taking a full point away for this movie
give it a
being
negative.
so fucking long for no good reason.
Go
So,
watch the American cut because that's how you are. I mean, it's 30 minutes less. and it's
I watched whatever I watched was about an hour and 56 minutes or 2 hours, and I was like, they should cut 40 minutes off this fucking movie because nothing happens for at least that much time. So Kirk is at an 8.5 on this movie. I said that right, an 8.5 on Lifeforce. So when he says he needs to find a new podcast, he needs to find like a special, like the Special Olympics of podcasts, so that somebody
people that actually
agrees
like good movies,
with-
but you know.
Jason.
This is not a good movie.
Jason-
Okay, this movie is better than any Friday the 13th that has ever been made.
Okay, so Jason gave this a four,
Dispute that.
Jason
Dispute
gave it a
that.
4.5. He gave it a 4.5.
It's
so
not.
he's,
You're wrong.
I don't
You're
have
wrong.
to.
You're wrong.
he's slightly below average. He's slightly
What,
below
what
average.
was Jason's? What was Jason's?
4.5. I mean, really, a 5's
4.5.
average. I mean, that's it's
Yeah,
not terrible.
yeah, slightly
And
below.
I'm bringing up the heel at a 3. So I want to
Jason,
know.
you were right.
I want
You were
to
right.
know. They
Yep,
had an
Jason
agreement.
wins.
They had a last week. If you weren't listening, they were wondering what I was going to score this. So Jason obviously said I was going to do a 3. Kirk, what'd you say I was going to give this?
I said 4, right? I'm trying to find your
What
text.
did you originally say, though?
Well, that was before I rewatched it, and I didn't think about it clearly.
So before I rewatched it, I said a 4.5.
Yes.
But Kirk, what did you say?
He said
before you
4.5.
rewatched it?
I said 7. He revised his to 3. I revised mine to 4.
So, but what this also tells me is after you guys watched it, you realized how bad of a movie this is.
No. We know how you rate movies. And for some reason,
Mike,
you
I
bribed
rated
your
it
brother here,
4.5.
so I don't know what.
I had written down 3.5 for the longest time, but it did fall to a 3.
This is a yearly watch for me. I watch this movie every single.
I won't.
I haven't seen this in 25 years, and it'll probably be another
I will
25
not.
years.
I will not watch
Missing
this
out.
every Haley's Comet. Okay, this
19,
will not.
2061, I think, is the next Haley's Comet.
Well, I will not be putting this on during.
we won't be watching that.
Oh my lordy!
Dude, I got
a 7?
I revised it. It had been a while since I'd seen it. I didn't watch it last year.
But you thought I was going to
when
give
he-
it a 7?
When he said 7, I wrote him back, laughed my ass off because I was like, "There's
No, he did.
no chance in hell."
He did. I got excited. I got excited about the movie. I'm not gonna lie. I let my excitement
So
get the best
excited
of me.
that you gave it an 8.5.
Dude, it's on my top 50 list.
So what's better, this or Galaxy of Terror?
This is better than Galaxy Terror.
Yes.
What did
Yeah.
I give Galaxy of Terror? Like a 6?
I agree with that.
A 6, a 5.5?
Like a
Yeah,
7.
I think it was a 6.
Was
I
that
think it was in the
7?
6s.
I think
or
it was a
something.
6 because you guys were like 2 and 3 or something like that.
I will say I got very worried at the very beginning of this that, oh, here we fucking go again. It like
Sci-fi.
jumped straight into the spaceship, the vagina thing, like all this stuff. And I'm like, the fuck? But I was more entertained by, the beginning of this movie. So I'm like, all right, like this is still better than Galaxy of Terror. And then 45 minutes later, I'm like, well, the bad news is there's still an hour and 20 minutes left. And the good news is, I mean, something could still happen. There's still an hour and 20 minutes left. But.
I mean, and like I said, I think I love the concept of the movie. I think they could have done more. Like Kirk was like kind of like we talked about last week with my movie with Near Dark. There was so much more, what you said. There's so much more that they left out of the table, and I think with this movie,
I can't disagree
with that
take.
budget. With that budget, there's so much they left out of this movie.
I can't disagree with that take. This movie should not have been made in 1985. They did not have the ability to make this movie. So maybe it's my mind filling in the gaps because I just love the material so much and what could have been, the music, the score, the try. I think that's where a lot of it's getting caught up with me. So they weren't ready to make this movie in 1985. Same thing as Dune.
What about this would be a good remake today.
No.
This might be something they can remake.
I hate remakes, and I have this written down as the book. So the book, so this went in a hammer direction, and that's why you don't like it. It's a small movie that big events are happening around. That's why you felt in a box.
Maybe it needs
Now,
a screwdriver, a nail, and a tape measure.
If you if you actually take it out and try to make this movie, I think you could do a really, really, really good job. So I think you can make this movie today.
Well, guys,
Will you have a final girl? I don't know.
It is. Unfortunately, we'll always have a final girl, but it is that time to move on from this. Put a nice little bow. We're getting out of space for
Tired
at
of these
least
guys not liking my movies
right now. Well, maybe you'll put a good one on one day, but we will. No, you had a good. Didn't you have a good one?
No, you've rated every one of my movies bad.
Well, one,
Six or 4 movies you've trashed. Four of
Galaxy,
my like.
Galaxy of Terror was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Lifeforce
like
is
Galaxy.
much better than that, but like that's like Queen of the Pigs style. What were your other movies that you had? I can't even remember them now.
I don't remember them. We need. To
You
go
don't even
back
remember, like, because it's like who knows?
Like
Shining. Shining, I said was
Yeah.
decent. I
that
mean,
you'll never watch again, and you
No,
hate.
I didn't say I'll never watch it again. I said I liked it more the second time that I did watch it. So
See, I did like The Shining.
so eat an ass. And
We always, Galaxy of Terror and eating ass have to come up in every podcast we do.
well,
from now on.
you know.
It's usually Jason that brings up the eating ass. So.
Well, Jason likes to stick to what he knows. But guys, it is time to look ahead to next week
Nice.
and take a ride on the Devil's.
The Devil's Wheel.
All right, for our Devil's Wheel portion of events, we each take 3 movies. We put it on a wheel. We spin it. Whatever it lands on, that is what we review the following week. But before we can spin it, we need to know what's actually on the wheel. Captain, you are up first because you're the only one that was obligated to make a change. What are your 3?
Yeah, I absolutely had to make a change. Great movie. So I've got Event Horizon from Elliot, 1997. It is a space movie. Don't worry, Elliot. I'll hold these 2 lunatics away from your movie once it does win. The next movie I did is The Devil and the Blacksmith from 2018. And my replacement movie is Fried Berry from 2020.
Jason, what do you got?
You know what? So I'm sticking with the 3. So I got Videodrome from 1983, little Dario Argento with a Phenomena from 1985, and Richard from our group on Facebook requested Downrange from 2015.
Mike, have you ever seen Videodrome?
No.
Or was it 2019?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Maybe it's 2019.
That's going to be an interesting
2019.
score.
I'm
Sorry,
all about
2019.
the interesting.
Dude, I could synopsis that movie right now for you, and you'd still have no idea what I'm saying.
Hell, that's most of the movies you guys have thrown on the wheel. That's exactly what it's been. So my 3 are going to be for Tyler. Once again, I'm sorry I put your movie on. It's never going to win.
Yeah.
But Pool Party Massacre, I think, is from like 2019, 2020. I don't know. Maybe 2021.
That's because I stole Event Horizon.
Yeah, well, you saved Elliot. Elliot probably thanks you every single day. I'm keeping Sinister on there so we can have a horror movie, and I am I'm putting on Psycho Gorman, which has been on there just because Jason didn't like it, and I want to make him watch it again. So, with all of that, the wheel is spinning. But what is it going to land
Downrange
on?
was 2017.
I did see Downrange, but I will hold off on what I thought.
There's no sound to this thing. Downrange. Richard.
So Richard, congratulations to you, my friend, and our horror group for the win, I guess. But Jason is back in the winner's fucking circle
Jason.
again.
I thought that was you, Mike.
If it would have went one more click to the, you know what's funny is on the wheel. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it's Downrange, Event Horizon, and Pool Party
Friedberry.
Massacre are all in a row.
Yeah.
So it was. To be honest with you, it needed like 3 more clicks for Pool Party Massacre, and it was 1 click away from Event Horizon. So, but we land on Downrange from 20.
I don't even know what this
15.
movie is.
I don't either.
I watched it
What year?
last year or the year before.
2017. 2017.
I just recently saw this, so we will watch it again, and we will reconvene, same bat time, same bat channel. Although, Jay, you're off next week, right? So
Yes.
we're reviewing a movie that you're not even going to be around to review. I think this is, I call bullshit.
I thought you guys were doing a different
Yeah,
episode.
we're doing Is It Horror?
Are we doing Is It Horror next week?
Is It Horror next week?
Yeah.
Well, shnikes.
Because every week we have Jason gone. He
Well, this
leaves
is-
on his wins almost every time.
Well, then this is like 3 weeks away because we have to round out July. We have our Christmas in July episode. So next week, Kirk, you and I will spin for the Christmas in July episode.
Okay.
Then, because
So we need to get some movies in the spinner.
So I actually won't have a chance to do the Christmas in July episode.
Well, I did.
Well, when
You're
that
out
is.
for the rest of July. I can't. I can't.
I'll be back for that last one.
That's the
or
Christmas in July
one.
fucking episode. So
Right. But I'm saying, don't I get to put something on the wheel
Yes,
too?
tell us what you want on the wheel.
Yes,
You'll
that's
just
what you
find
will
out
do,
when you
just
listen
like it
to the
always
podcast.
Well, you just said that me and Kirk are gonna have.
We're
have
going to
for the-
spin the
we're
wheel.
spinning it. Like you're not going to be
Ah.
here for it. Oh man, like somebody just had
Gotcha.
fear of missing out right here. Really bad FOMO.
Oh, I wouldn't have cared because I don't know
you have-
what we have left for Christmas.
Mike, do you have that
movies
sound
to put on
effect
the wheel.
on the podcast of the violin?
I need that wow wow wow. All right.
I have to go back and see what we've even reviewed.
I know what my movies are going to be already because they're always the same because they never win. But I will throw them on the wheel. All right, guys, that is it for episode 126. As always, we really thank you for rocking with us, and we have a multitude of ways that you can really touch base with us, give us movies to put on the wheel. If it lands on Jason or Kirk, you actually have a chance of getting your movie reviewed.
More Jason than Kirk, but
Yeah,
I do
more
have a
Jason
little better chance than Mike.
than anybody. But also, pardon the tear questions. Is it horror? If you want to throw us a movie for us to debate, is it horror? All that good stuff. The easiest place to do it is our main hub, which is the MVJ Horror channel group on Facebook. We're always on there. We're interacting. People are always sending us stuff. We love everybody that's on the page. And if you're already on there, keep inviting your friends. Let's get this horror community as big as humanly possible. We're also on the Twitter or the...
Water.
And we're on Instagram as well, or you can do mvjhorcast at Yahoo, and you can just email us directly there. There's once again, plenty of different ways. Kirk has also made a TikTok and a YouTube channel. We're everywhere at this point in time.
And Reddit.
Just
I
like
don't
this,
do much on the Reddit.
just like this movie.
I don't know how to.
Just like this movie, we're all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm talking about. I've already forgot the name. Lifeforce.
It's such a good movie. I love this movie.
Space vampires.
The Space Vampire. I love this movie.
You said it like it was a college. Where are you from? I'm from the Space Vampire.
Well, because the book is The Space Vampire.
It's fine. It's good.
That's the actual title of the book.
He's got a
Oh,
point
it is.
there.
No, I've just, but I mean, it's not like somebody's out there like, I almost didn't know what you were talking about. You said Space Vampire,
or
but it was
the Space
the
Vampire. Which
Space
movie are you
Vampire.
watching?
I don't know.
Ohio State University.
But guys, that is it for this episode. We will. So next week is our Is It Horror episode. So we once again send us some Is It Horror movies, and
I'll
we'll
be
go from
looking for some questions and some movies on our group. If you want to be included, throw me a line.
Kirk, I'm going to give you a couple. Mine are going to be Galaxy of Terror and Life
good
Force.
Great
So
movie.
those will be my first
I don't
two
know.
for the Is It Horror.
What if Life Force was over Christmas? You know,
And we'll throw the trip on there too, just because you guys don't think so. So we can just do it all there. No. So that'll be next week, and then, like I said, rounding out July, we got Christmas. So Downrange will be coming up shortly. But until next time, my friends,
Stay scary.
there you go.